which is a good lead to the communication function. The supervisor acts as an integral link in the chain of command in the administrative function. Whether you like it or not, you are part of administration as the supervisor. You're part of that supervisory team within your particular division, okay? And you have to be careful that your staff don't go around you in communicating with individuals, and that communication, is important in terms of understanding the formal and informal processes that occur in communicating, the vertical and horizontal communication that occurs. You as a supervisor must gather, process, and disseminate information coming from above and below. You must let your superiors know what your staff are saying and thinking, and you must be very quick in giving information downwards to your staff. So how is that done? It's simple. It's easily said, but it's not as simple, but it's easily said. And that is, you have structured supervisory meetings with your staff, you have unit meetings with your staff, monthly unit meetings with your staff, when necessary, special unit meetings with your staff regarding new programs and new services that might have a meeting that will just focus on that. And you may have, when you have your unit meetings, you may have some concrete agenda items, and including new agenda items as you meet with individuals. You serve as a vehicle of coordination with the agency in terms of what's going on with your workers. And we've talked about this. You process organizational communication that comes from the top down with staff. You identify problems in terms of some organizational communication, and you do some lateral and informal communication that may be necessary for your staff in working with individuals in that communication process. Communication is very, very important. You communicate with regarding the legislative insights. You communicate when you're working with staff in terms of teaching new skills, human relations skills, job skills, managerial skills, in these different kinds of processes. And you can't forget that. It's very, very crucial. I can't help but emphasize the importance of that. The supervisor is an advocate for staff. You advocate for your staff from the bottom up to your superiors. You advocate for your staff with dealing with other units and how you work with those particular people and what's going on. Does anyone have any examples of advocating for staff in terms of how your supervisor in the past may have advocated for you? I would like to hear that. I would like for us to share that, in a forum discussion. The supervisor is the administrative buffer. Very similar to what we talked about before in terms of the worker system in Schulman, in that diagram that we talked about in the earlier lecture. The supervisor is a mediator between clients, staff, and administration. Okay, some supervisors are good buffers, some supervisors are not very good buffers. But you have to be careful. You have to use it, be very discreet in terms of how you serve as a buffer for your staff. You don't, and remember about that helping relationship. Okay, you don't want to enable staff to not perform well and not do what needs to be done. So you don't want to be a buffer to help staff, enable them in terms of not following policies and procedures, but you do want to be a buffer and discreet with respect to helping staff perform their work and how they convey information to others and what you might say about them, because there's administration will see staff from your eyes in terms of how you describe them and what's going on. Okay? The supervisor is a change agent and community liaison. Supervisors are responsible in many instances in many organizations to go and attend collaborative meetings or meetings with other agencies in the community. You may participate in developing new programs and developing new services, identifying what your staff needs might be. And so you are a change agent within the community. You're also a change agent in your agency, so you need to be sensitive to the pressures of staff in terms of changing policies and procedures. You can't not share with staff the new policies and procedures, but as policies and procedures are developed and you are part of developing those policies and procedures, you need to be able to articulate a constructive way of implementing these policies and procedures, and when you would set deadlines and when is the effective date, making sure that staff receive proper training regarding this process, and new staff get a good orientation and a good foundation with respect to what is going on. So as supervisors, you do participate in actions in terms of change. So what I want to say that's very important in this chapter and some is that we discussed a series of 10 tasks that supervisors perform. Tasks in the staff recruitment and selection process, inducting and placing the worker, work planning, work assignments, and work delegation, monitoring and reviewing and evaluating the work, coordinating the work, the communication function in terms of processing organizational communication and identifying problems in organizational communication, and the supervisor as an advocate, a buffer, and as a change agent. What I would like us to do for a moment, and that is within these 3 new groups that we have, that you'll be developing your group presentation. Okay, we have identified these groups for the most part, and what I'd like people to do, each of those 3 groups, amongst yourselves, discuss some of these different tasks that you have experienced, and create a little dialogue with each other, and share that information in a larger forum. I think this would be a good exercise and a good way of beginning to work with your groups. So this is what I'd like you to do. Take a few moments and then do that. Spend some time doing that with your groups. The reading assignments for the following week would be Kedushin and Harkness, Chapter 3, and Shulman, Chapter 3. If there are any questions, I would appreciate hearing them. Thank you.